Thank you, Robert, for joining in. Thank you, Tata, for joining in. Thank you, Lydia, for joining in. It's going to be a very wonderful day and excellent. I want to thank you that are tuning in. Remember that you can always get me live on Facebook and on my YouTube. And I want to thank all of you that are tuning in this morning here in the United States. Here again, my name is Fonton Daniel. I will be speaking live here from the great state of Texas. Thank you, Felix, for tuning in. Thank you, Josephine, for tuning in. If you just tune in, make sure you share. Thank you, Relindis, for joining in. Here again, my name is Daniel. I will be speaking live here from the great state of Texas. And remember that I will be broadcasting live here on the YouTube and on the Facebook and the other both of my Facebook. And I want to thank all of you that are tuning in. If you just join in, to make sure you share. I want to take a moment to thank all of you that are tuning in this morning. And here again, my name is Fonton Daniel, and thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Relindis, for joining in. Thanks, Ari, for joining in. Thanks, Jackson, for joining in. Frederick, for joining in. And just share. That's the good thing that we can do so that we get the information as soon as possible. I want to thank. How you all doing this morning? I'm sure you are excited. I am too. Fellow brothers and sisters. I know if you are just tuning in, just briefly indicate below where you are. If you're in Southern Cameroon, if you are in La Republique, if you are here in the United States. Here again, my name is Funton Daniel. I will be speaking live here from the great state of Texas, here in the United States. I want to take a moment to thank all of you for joining me live here. It is important that we get this message across, and it is important, and I want to take a moment to thank all of you that are tuning in here again. Um, uh, I'm going to talk about the issues before we dive into that in details. Um, I want to recognize those who are joining in. If you are in here in the United States, I want to thank you for tuning in. If you are in Europe, I want to thank you for tuning in. If you are in Ground Zero in Africa, whatever part of Africa you are, I want to take a moment to thank all of you to tuning in this morning. And here again, I am speaking live here from the great state of Texas, here in the United States. I'm going to be speaking about the breaking news and other issues that arises. And those who are joining us will pick up where we left, and let's see. Well, was supposed to have a comrade, Robert, to join in. It seems his system is not actually in the process, so we can't take so much time. The connection of his system is not picking up. I wanted to have a live broadcast from one of our comrades, Mr. Robert, but it seems his connections, I just look at it, it's going to take us some time. His connection is not in a way that I can bring him in. I've just checked it. Let me see if it does provide opportunity. And it doesn't seem to allow him to come in. Let's see. Well, unfortunately, the system doesn't allow me to bring Robert. So, but however, maybe we will have in between. But however, we can then proceed. I want to take a moment to thank all of you, um, fellow citizens, fellow brothers in and around the world. It is imperative the sovereignty of the people of Ambazonian. is not a questionable. It's something that we must stood for. We cannot have a terrorist neighboring country invading in the lifestyle of the people of Ambazonian. So it is important that we recognize the sovereignty of the people of Ambazonian. We want to take a moment, thanks the president of these great nations, the United States. We want to take a moment to thank the government of this great United States. We want to take a moment to thank the U.S. Congress, the U.S. Senate. We want to take a moment to thank the State Department, the U.S. Department of Defense. You know, it is imperative that we understand that these great nations were built upon people that stood for freedom. And why I keep on mentioning, because it is important, no representative with no taxations without a representative. That was the philosophy of the United States against the British. And in doing so, they fought against their freedom. Today, United States is an admiring nation on earth. Whether you agree with my assessment, it is because the nation is built on law. The law supersedes every individual's. And so when it comes to you to become the hem of these great nations, you must prove your worth. And we want to take a moment to thank and congratulate Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley is now in the month of September, will be the chairman of the Security Council. It is an important organization, the Security Council. Remember that it was the United Nations Security Council that met in 1960 and recognized the republic, the neighboring country, La République du Cameroon. And subsequently, in 1961, the same Security Council met here in New York to recognize the sovereignty of the people of Ambazonia. And so therefore, we are not exceptions, and that is why we stood for. Our brothers and sisters has devoted their life for the interest of the freedom of the people of Ambazonia. And we in the diaspora, we must support them. We must show our relentless effort and to demonstrate our ability that we stand with our brothers and sisters that have already sacrificed their life for the freedom, that we must have a nation that we recognize is the place that we were born. We have been for the past 56 years failed in absolutely having a terrorist organization, La République, demonstrate and radicalize our people. And so that is why I am standing here. So we, the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, we are at war. We are at war. And the terrorist government of La République is terrorizing our territory. So we want to take a moment to thank our brave men and women, those of the Ngok. We want to take a moment to thank our brave men and women, those of the Ngok. They have demonstrated their relentless effort to ensure that the terrorists of La République shouldn't penetrate our territory. We want to thank the brave men and women of the Bali, the popularly known the seven Qatar, whatever it is, the seven Qatar, that's how it is named. The brave men and women of the Bafut, but I call them the Bafut Beagles. Well, they call the Bafut seven Qatar. It is imperative that we take them very seriously. We have to build a solid, and we want to take a moment to thank all of them that are working hard tremendously, breaking the barrier, breaking the bonds of La République that is currently terrorizing our people. It is important that we take this as a matter of seriousness. We have an Atanganji. Atanganji, the new Bell ex-convict that is organizing and terrorizing our people. And he doesn't stand as any aspiration. He's a terrorist individual that is acting in our territory called Atanganji. Our people, our sons and daughters cannot in any circumstances take instruction from that terrorist government of La Republique. So there is a law that was caught, and one posted claimed it was the Nigerian authority that is carrying road development. Well, there is no Nigerian road development in Bafut. Why is the truck Hillox doing in Bafut? It's because Atanganji and is organizing a certain for freedom. I can assure you that we have the power to overcome La Republique. One thing I want to assure our people is that we need to break up any link that is linking us with La Republique. First, the Santa Bridge should immediately be dislocated. Once we dislocate the Santa Bridge that link Western Province and Southern Cameroon and the Federal Republic of Ambazonian, once we break those links, it prevents La Republique terrorists from gaining access to our territory, and so that we can be able to eradicate those in our territory. Our people are in disarray. Our people have been terrorized. Our nation is a sovereign nation. Our people gained their independence, but has not been able to have their own government of the people that represent them. We have a foreign government, the French. We have a foreign government of the French origins that is currently terrorize our citizens, brutalize our people. And we have nothing to, we cannot in any circumstances take this as a matter of this. We have to intervene. Our women and children are being raped by the terrorist government of the neighboring country, La Republique in Southern Cameroon. Our mothers are being raped. Our young girls as old as 9 years are being raped by the terrorist military of the neighboring country, La Republique du Cameroon. A young girl that just left a baby on her way to get some meals for her little child. The child was basically 2 months old. Despite the fact that she was screaming, said, please, I just have a child. I have not been able to do anything. They failed to even listen to that child. And they failed to listen to that little girl. And that girl was pulled out. And the girl was raped. And it is painful to see a young girl that had a child that was still breastfeeding on her mom. But unfortunately, the terrorist military of the neighboring country, La Republique, adopted this girl and took to a hidden area, and they raped this girl. That is the painful that I would not in any circumstances condole or associate with the terrorist government of La Republique du Cameroon. I cannot in any circumstances. A mother that was heading to a hospital and she was immediately burnt alive by the terrorist government of La Republique. It is painful that a grandmom that witnessed, even in the hospital setting, entire hospital was burned alive by this terrorist government of La République du Cameroon. Years, and that 56 years is enough. On the question many people are asking on the school resumption, I know it's a painful topic that people are often asking, and that topic often resurfaces. Should school resume? Of course, I will appreciate that school resume. Everyone will appreciate that school resume in the Southern Cameroon territory. All of us value education. No one can condone that education is not an important issue. But who is organizing the education system in our territory? A terrorist government of La République? Is that a government that a terrorist neighboring country? Would you expect them to give an efficient education system on our people? No, absolutely no. La République is not an entrusted organization in our territory. We should be able to organize our own education with our own standard, with our own value. That is the education system I want to speak about. That our people are well intelligent. They will set up a basic foundations that will lead our children, build a lasting future. You all will agree with me that China, they call the Asian bloc. They have resurfaced now and are competing with the Western Hemisphere. It's because they value the dynamic structure of education and they're building a last education that maintains solid and effective system of the China's bloc. And so our people of Ambazonian is not exception. We value our education. We value to build a solid and lasting education that will inspire our young ones. But we can only do this when we have a terrorist organization that is currently destabilizing our territory, La République du Cameroon. La République has no mandate in our territory. La République is now a terrorist organization destabilizing the sovereignty of our people. Our people, we at the moment are at war, and the terrorist organization, La République du Cameroon, we are the Southern Cameroon, are at war. And that terrorist government of La République is terrorizing our people. We have restored our sovereignty, and we will use every available means to ensure that our sovereignty is guaranteed. And therefore, we are making those that stood as the black legs behind La République. Those who stood as the black legs, we shall deal with those individuals separately. We have made our point clear, and that we are not negotiable in any terms with any terrorist organization, La République, in our sovereignty. La République got their independence, and they should be able to protect and maintain their own sovereignty and allow the people of Southern Cameroon to protect and maintain their own territory. We do not need La République to teach us how we should be governed, because we already know how we want to be governed, and we know the standard of government that we will be able to protect. We will not in any circumstances condole with the neighboring country, La République du Cameroon. And so any military of La République currently terrorizing our territory will be met in severe consequences. Let's face the fact. When our people, our education, our educators request, during the era that we were living with this terrorist government of La République, we requested a board of education, a Southern Cameroon Board of Education. We request that initially, because we believe that is the basis and the fundamental principles in which our education system is based. Instead of granting our own Board of Education, La République, first of all, granted their own first. So we are educating a neighboring country. What is the fundamental basic standard of education system that must prevail in the sovereignty of the Southern Cameroon? But when we request, La République initially grant theirs first. So they knew exactly what they want, but they can't provide it. But when we request, La République will initially grant theirs first. before even considering our own. When we request that we want a federal structure, La Republic, it seems, is ignorance and absolutely a damaging nation that we do not want to deal with La Republic. We want to build a lasting nation that maintain the value of the Southern Cameroon heritage, now the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. So school resumption is absolutely not in Federal Republic of Ambazonia. The reason is because the safety and guarantee our teachers, our brothers and sisters, our children, especially those of the boys between the ages of 30 and 50 years old. Our able boys of 13 to 50 years old. And sometimes they kill indiscriminately. And so what La Republique plan is that when the boys are in a setting, it will provide an opportunity for the brutal military of La Republique to invade our students and murder innocent students, as they are already doing. They are easily murdering the teachers, the professors, and all in a school setting. And they does that very openly. They disguise under the auspices of Atanganji, the new graduate president that has appointed some individual within our own people to behave as though they are the citizens, they are Ambazonian. So beware of those individuals that have been organized by La Republique under the terrorist individual led by Atanganji. And if you get an opportunity, don't hesitate. Arrest Atanganji wherever he step his foot into the Southern Cameroon territory. And now and in any moment, on all those individuals, if you are an individual that is attempting to undermine the sovereignty of our territory, we shall in no circumstances condole with those individuals. We shall in no circumstances condole with those individuals. So school resumption is out of questions until we eradicate La Republique out of Southern Cameroon. The most important thing that I have always talked about, that which I recommend that our people of Ambazonia need to focus on, is that of Ambazonian currency. It is important that we have the Federal Republic of Ambazonian currency. It doesn't necessarily have to be generally accepted by every nation, but the people of Ambazonia accept it as a medium of exchange where goods can be converted from one area to another. We don't necessarily have to be physically there, have a structure. We have the advent of technology that we have at our disposal. And so therefore, having a technology within our disposal, creating an Ambazonian currency is an effective and the most efficient way to get rid of La Republique CFA that is currently spreading in Southern Cameroon. La Republique is a terrorist government that we will not circumstances condone with La Republique. And so therefore, having the Southern Cameroon Ambazonian currency is an effective way to get rid of La Republique out of Southern Cameroon, because La Republique is a terrorist organization, terrorist government, terrorizing our people. How does the Southern Cameroon Ambazonian currency going to work? Well, we need to first of all consult with the United States. The United States is a very efficient government that are open to educate our people what are the fundamental basic standards, how we can have our currency be efficiently and start up immediately. And we will start up by developing a theoretical aspect. How can it theoretical aspect will be effectively administered to carry on a transition period to testing and the circulating system, how the monetary should be able effectively be applied in the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Wait, we already have an area that is already been under our control. We now let the people understand that the Amba currency will be tested on those areas that are under the control of Ambazonia. So we will allocate a certain amount. We test for the people's recognition, test for people behavior, test for people approaching the Southern Cameroon single Ambazonian currency. How people said, okay, how can he be able to organize since we are not fiscally? We can determine the inflationary spiral by monitoring the prices of the basic commodity. We have villages that are already under our control. We can be able to determine the inflationary spiral and able to reflect on the basic fundamental value of the currency in circulation. It is important that while we are still using the CFA as a medium of exchange, we still keep La République under our control as though they're still managing our territory. So therefore, implementing this Amazonian currency to be immediately start testing for the circulation is an effective way and a means in which Amazonia can be able to move forward with their sovereignty. It is imperative that the people of Amazonia need their own currency. Let's take, for example, if Great Britain, they sign a deal with a terrorist government of 1.5. The Great Britain, you all saw the images. Great Britain signed a 1.5 natural gas exploitation in our own territory with a terrorist government of La République. And that is why we want to make sure that Britain need to understand that the territory of Amazonia is no longer part of La République. We are now independent nations. We no longer have La République in our sovereignty, and we will use every means to get rid of La République, and we will face La République and any individual that attempts to stabilize our territory. Any individual that attempt to terrorize our territory we will meet with the prospect of our Amber Defense Force. We will not condone any tolerance from the neighboring country, La République. So therefore, having our Ambazonian defense currency in circulation is an effective way that we can move forward and abandon La République. Because so long as we continue to use the CFA, that means La République will continue to control our aspect of life. Once we introduce the Federal Republic of Ambazonian currency, and that is why that should be the focus point now, and some other areas, so that they should need to put this agenda, and discussion should be immediately and effectively to start debating on how the first initial phase of circulation of the Ambazonian currency in the Southern Cameroon territory. Sorry, we having someone that was supposed to connect with me in live, but it seems he's having trouble connecting, so that's the problem. Let's see. Sorry for the apology, but there was someone that was supposed to connect me. There's a problem linking him. He was supposed to come live about, we talk about the issues that are affecting the Southern Cameroon territory, but the link seems okay. I'm sorry, but we were not able to get our brothers. He was trying to link me. He was trying to contact. Breaking news. I just want to bring this attention that uh, Southern Cameroon citizens that had just left, Federal Republic Ambazonian citizens that just left the farm and were just driving home or driving to where they neighboring. They were being shot point blank on their vehicle by a terrorist government of La Republic. And they've just posted the images on my Facebook. I am deeply troubled by this ongoing genocide in the southern Cameroon territory. That is the reason why I've been speaking